before 11 o'clock this morning, we had a call that an airplane had touched down on Highway 407 eastbound just by Woodbine Avenue. The airplane experienced engine failure after takeoff. I talked to the pilots on board. There was 2 souls on board when they lifted from Buttonville Airport. This is the maiden voyage after its 100-hour inspection, which is a typical inspection that's done regularly on these airplanes. The pilots were heading back towards Grimsby, where their base is, and as soon as they took off at runway 33 out of Buttonville, they climbed to altitude, got to a certain height around 1,000 feet above the ground, and switched from the left tank to the fuel tank, which is typical standard procedure. And as soon as they switched tanks, they experienced some engines stumbling and failing to produce power. They looked back at the airport to see whether or not they could make it back to the airport due to buildings in the way and their altitude. That was not a possibility. They called in Mayday, Mayday, Mayday to Transport Canada to air traffic control, indicated what their problem was, that they were having an engine failure, and they looked down and saw Highway 407 below them. They made a forced approach emergency landing on Highway 407. A perfect textbook landing, no injuries to the 2 occupants in the airplane, no damage to the airplane, and no damage to any other vehicles involved in the area. So again, this is a textbook situation, pretty scary situation for those pilots. Both of the occupants in the airplane, one was a flight instructor, the other one was a pilot with about 700 hours experience as well, so they're both very versed in emergency procedures. This is a Piper Warrior PA-28 1970s type model, which is fine. The airplane had a clean bill of health from its 100-hour inspection. Obviously, that is going to be one thing they're going to be looking into to try to determine what happened when they switched tanks from left to right, if there was any contamination or air in the lines that was preventing fuel flow. According to the pilots, they did their proper pre-flight inspection, drained the tanks to see if there's any water contamination in the fuel. There's fuel in both tanks, and when they did their power run-up, there was no problems with the motor at all, and only after takeoff and gaining altitude is when they experienced this failure, and they conducted a textbook emergency landing. Great job on the pilots. This is something they train for all the time. This is something that's always on your mind when you're flying, and again, we couldn't have asked for a better outcome other than them making it to their destination. But in terms of stress level, it doesn't get any more stressful than that, especially when you're flying over built-up areas and you don't expect there to be a lot of open runways when you can't make it back to the airport. And here the 407 was right below them, and they made a perfect landing here on Highway 407 eastbound.
Matching